Hey, welcome back to the Virgo Channel. My name is Laura, and I'm going to do a general message for Virgo. Know that energy is fluid, roles could be reversed. Always interpret the message as it best resonates with you. Also, know on this channel, I like to go in deep and I like to focus more on the spiritual blocks, the shadows, and see how they play out as karmic themes. I do look at everything, but we go deeper into those blocks. And the reason why is because whether you want to stay with this person, whether you don't want to stay with this person, you attracted this person into your life for a reason. There's a spiritual reason why we attract the people into our life. And unless we learn the spiritual lesson, we tend to attract the same types of people. And so it's about learning how to deal with those people differently and learning how to perceive what they're showing us differently, because that's what really healing is. Healing is to be able to see the situation from a different perception and understand just because you learned it in the mind, in the astral level, in the ether, you learned what you did, what the person did, what the dynamic was, doesn't mean you fully transmuted the negative energy. You have to actually go through the experience again, because we will continue to attract the same types of energy until, like said, we see a different outcome. Your energy is made up of your thoughts and your emotions. When you go through experiences that are traumatic, we hold on to that energy. That energy affects us. It affects the way we perceive things. It affects the way that we hear things. So this is why I focus more on the spiritual blocks, because in order to break karmic cycles that keep you in a place of limitation, keep you in a place of fear, keep you in a place of victimization, you have to understand how you are contributing to the undesirable life experiences that play out within your connections. Okay, and that helps also by understanding, like I said, by really understanding who you are when you learn about why you attract certain people and situations into your life. And what I mean is you're able to really understand what your needs are. And when you really know what your needs are, you don't attract just anything into your life. You're very specific. And so even if a lower vibration comes into your life, you're more than likely not going to just let that person in to your life or be tricked by their words or their finesse, because you're fulfilled within your life. When you're fulfilled within your own life, you notice when people are really imbalanced, and you realize you can really see what a person's intentions are, and you can see whether they're aware of their intentions. Some people aren't even aware of what they do, and so you're able to deal with them a lot better. You're able to deal with them in accordance to that perception. Like I said, if somebody isn't intentionally doing something, then you're able to create awareness in a much nicer way. You're not taking offense to it, feeling attacked by it. You realize that this person just isn't on the same vibration as you. And you might have just came into this person's life to help them raise their vibration. So there's a lot of reasons why we attract soul people into our life. People mistaken one soulmate for another soulmate because they don't actually take the time to let the natural unfoldment process of a relationship happen. And the natural unfoldment process is different due to the attachment style that the person has. If a person has anxious, avoidant attachment style, well, they're going to take a lot longer than somebody that's obviously has a secure attachment, or someone that is just like has anxious attachment. Because people that have anxious attachment issues, they're going to be looking for that approval. They're going to be looking for that love. And that's how they stay in that karmic cycle of never getting enough love, because they're looking, but they go towards the people that have the same attachment style as their parent, as they had with their parent. So a parent was avoidant, anxious, avoidant. Well, now you're dealing with somebody in your adult years that has an issue with commitment, has an issue with losing their freedom because of the environment that they grew up in, where someone was taking their energy all the time. And they were, they were kind of taught to lie because it mattered what they said, their opinion. They had to follow the crowd. They had to use their energy to someone else. So they're again paranoid. That happens in dysfunctional families where the child almost steps it up to become the parent in order to make the house functional, somewhat functional. And that's because the parent is not there. And they're not there because they're connected to a partner that doesn't show up for them or is extremely toxic. So this is why that person, like I said, if that you're trying to get love from that type of person, and you're never going to get it. Can you change that person? You can change them by telling them to change, but a lot of times, whatever your wound is, if you have anxious, if you have anxious avoidant problem and you're connected to somebody that is just anxious with an attachment style, well, the person that's anxious would need to become more grounded. They would need to give that person a lot more space in order to feel safe, in order for them to feel safe, in order for them not to get triggered by, again, whatever you do. Because a person that has, that anxious attachment avoidance style, like they have a problem with intimacy, they have a problem with trust, they have a problem with opening up. And if you're needy, obviously that's going to trigger this person. And it's going to trigger them because they grew up in an environment where they had to give all the time. And when they were giving, they weren't creating themselves. And they were kind of stuck learning that that's who they were. That, we tend to associate ourselves with our parents, where we come from, and where this person came from is dysfunction. I'm feeling that. I don't know why I'm feeling that. And like I said, I wasn't even planning on talking about a person yet, but I look down and I see shame. And then I see mistrust right after it. And then I see negative right after it. And then I see disgust right after it. So, I mean, listen, I'm going with it because, like, I don't never choose to start my readings. I let spirit channel in the beginning of my readings. So I feel like you're dealing with somebody that is extremely fearful of relationships, has major trust issues, and it could become across as very narcissist energy. And a very narcissist energy happens when you are being raised by parents that are not nurturing, that are not loving, that are not giving. So you're, as a child, have to figure out everything of yourself. No one's looking out for you. So you have to look out for you. So even though you grow up and you go into a world and the world is very different, you're still perceiving that you can't trust anyone because that's a condition. So I feel like the underlying energy is shame, we're going to say, because everything is rooted in shame. When we have that, again, avoidant attachment issue, what's the root of it? That avoidant anxiety attachment is the worst type to have out of all. There is only 4 attachment styles. That's secure attachment, where you grow up in a family that there's support and there's love, and there's, your independence is congratulated, it's applauded, it's supported, And then all the others are, anxiety attachment, avoidant anxiety attachment. They're all pretty much the same, like that, with this lower energy of codependency, because that's what comes from those type of relationships. It's just if you wound up with a person that was anxious and just anxious attachment, then you just have two people that were extremely needy with each other. But that very rarely happens. What normally happens is we wind up with somebody that, if we are needy, we're winding up with someone that is like, has that avoidant attachment issue, that we continue to live out the life experience of abandonment, the spiritual wound of abandonment, because that's what we grew up with. So that's what the karmic theme would be. And I feel like shame comes from that. And it comes from, again, where you come from. If you perceive that, your family is not educated and everything's full of drama because it constantly brought you embarrassment. There wasn't enough money, and you didn't have the basic things that would be seen as embarrassing, anything that brought shame. And so, and why? Because children want to fit in. Children don't want to seem different. They don't want to seem like they're poor. They don't want to seem like their parents don't, aren't loving. I mean, everyone perceived that their family should look like the Brady Bunch, and our family did not look like the Brady Bunch. And in this family, I just feel like the parents were always like, it was toxic connections. It wasn't just one person that this person's mother got together with. It was a few, and it was and none of those people treated this person nicely. So it's, again, that's where the shame comes from, and that's where the mistrust comes from, and that's where that avoidant anxiety attachment comes from. So we're going to see how being connected to someone like that, what that looks like how they treated you, how they made you feel. I know that it wouldn't be positive, obviously. Long road, like it's like, and this person has a long way to go to, like, actually they need a lot of healing. This is, oh, if I was to ask you, like, how was it? This person needs a tremendous amount of healing, and they do. But they do because, again, the environment that they grew up in. When you grow up in that environment, what happens is that you still want love. It's not that you don't, even though you have this avoidant anxiety attachment. What happens is, however, this person gets into relationships, and then when they get tired of the relationship, they don't tell anyone, they just leave. They ghost for long periods of time. They bob in and out with no strings. They're not emotionally there for the people that they're in relationships with. And where then when they're bobbing in and out, they're giving, they expect to get so much because there is a connection, but they want, you to dump your resources into them when they come back around, but then they're not there for you consistently. So this is the problem. So they create a lot of negative energy, because I feel like they know that nobody wants that. So they lie to themselves and they lie to the person. Yeah, I'm gonna be here. Yeah, like we're gonna have this type of life. Yeah, yeah, we'll go here, we'll do that. But it's, again, the person's always put on the back burner. It's their way of procrastinating. It's their way of, again, keeping you on hold and not making a decision because of this, again, avoidant anxiety attachment. It's the worst type of attachment style, because you're with a person that every time you feel like you get comfortable, the person like leaves. And it looks like they're very selfish. escape. Yeah, like I'm saying, like it's always like that's what you feel like. You feel like even when you're here, you don't really want to be here. It's like almost like their spirit isn't settled. And that's what you feel. And it's not. Because when a person grows up in an environment like that, I'm kind of feeling for some, you're connected to someone that was sexually abused. You were with somebody that was really violated. You were with somebody that, and I don't feel like it was like, I feel their biological parent. I feel like their parent got together with somebody else that was not nice to them. And because of that, it's like they had to not only endure that, but they had to step it up to be the parent for this, their own parent, because the person that their parent was with was avoidant and anxiety avoidant detachment issue. So again, they grew up that way, where somebody coming in and out, violating them, making them, again, taking their energy. So they have major issues where, of course, they're always looking to escape, but they're kind of don't realize that they're looking to escape themselves. Because when you have that anxiety avoidant attachment issue, it's not uncommon that this person is talking to multiple people to get fulfilled. It's again that like they create scenarios that deliberately create that fight, flight, or freeze adrenaline rush. And so when people have major trauma, it's where they were conditioned in an environment to grow up in a survival mechanism. It's like they're addicted to that adrenaline. So this person talks to multiple people and knows that there's always going to be consequences. And I feel like it's their way to escape themselves. They don't feel good about themselves because they never created themselves. So their creating themselves was always to kind of become the chameleon. And a chameleon just is somebody that becomes whoever you want to be at that particular time. Wherever this person goes in order to fit in, they mold to that type of environment. So if you're hanging out with this person, you'll look at them and be like, oh my God, you're so phony. You're so phony. It's like, to me at home, you're like scoffing down pizza, and here we are at the vegan, like, buffet. Like, who are you trying to impress? Who are you trying to impress? Anybody? Because this person doesn't feel good about themselves because of, again, they grew up. Again, all this is the same thing, distant. It's like you're there, but you're not. And so the problem with trauma when a person lives in survival mode for long periods of time, it really does create physical changes in the body, and it makes the person tired. Like if the adrenaline is always going, it's they actually are stimulating that the adrenal glands. And so over time, it's like you get tired. I feel like this person gets tired. They have high highs and they have low lows. Like, so it'll seem like they're really moody. And you're like, why? Like I didn't do anything. You're making the time to be here with me, or you're taking time to be here with me, but I don't really believe that you're settled. I don't feel like you're settled. I don't feel like you don't make me feel safe because of how the energy that I'm feeling off of you. And that's why, like I said, this person begins to daydream. They begin to like they're there, but they're not. And that's because, again, escaping is not just through, physically drinking too much, talking to a bunch of random relationships. It's not just about that. It's about escaping yourself. And how do you do that in fantasy world, right? So the person's always distant. So all those people that they talk to, and those superficial, if you go, I'm sure through their Instagram, you'll see like a lot of like random just chicks liking or men, either one, liking their stuff. And you're like, okay, like I don't even feel anything. And it's not. It's just random people that are giving them like energy, like, and feeding their ego to keep their energy level high. Because when you feel so bad about yourself, you want to escape. It's a need. When people overbuy and they become hoarders, they're filling themselves. It's because there's a feeling of emptiness. Well, this is like the same thing. It's just the person feels empty. So what they're doing is they're talking to a lot of people. They're escaping into their addictions. They're escaping into, like, again, the persona that they want you to perceive that they are. Because again, part of them thinks that they're where they came from, and they're not that experience where they came from. But they're so like embarrassed by that part of them, they never healed it. So understand, being in a relationship with someone like this, we're going to see a lot of triggers. We just are. It's because they don't, doesn't mean that they don't have feelings, but we can see clearly that they've been, since childhood, been dealing with severe wounds. Cheating. And that's what I said. That's what comes with that avoidant anxiety attachment. It's it's the worst kind of attachment, because the person just wants to feel good about themselves because they feel bad. They're really living from their addictions because there's no self. There's only a shadow self, because when this person, I feel like, was abused, they lived in survival and they were conditioned to live in survival. So they gave their resources and they gave of themselves to a point that they don't want to do that. They don't want to be in a relationship where they lose themselves. They don't want to be in a relationship where there can be betrayal again. They don't want to be where, but then understand, we're not down here to have these fleeting relationships. Like, because in order to be in those relationships, you're coming from a very low vibration, because no one wants to be, well, I'm not saying nobody, but every single person that you want to be with doesn't, like, is hoping to actually be in a relationship, and you're pretending to be. You'd be turned into the chameleon of what you wanted me to be, you to become, and you could only do that for a certain amount of time, and then then it becomes too smothering. And just as you're getting comfortable in a relationship, that's when this person starts their bullshit of talking to other people and escaping. Again, and almost like being with a person that brings you so far up, high up, and then drops you down. And I feel like in the beginning of this relationship, that's what it was, because this person, became what you wanted them to become, because they don't have an identity. And then what happened is, it's like they can't remain in that because they feel like they lose themselves, but they don't have themselves, but they don't want to mold to your life. And so what happens is, it's like, if you're someone that has anxiety attachment, which is how the universe tends to bring these two types of attachment style people together in order to heal. When you're saying, why do I connect to a person that continually abandons me? It's not to make you disturbed, but obviously that's what it is. It's like this person, like, having that is doing a lot psychologically to you, mentally, because every time they leave, they're abandoning you. They're making you feel like you're not important, that you're not good enough, that they're disposing of you because of their issue, and the emotional abuse of them not caring, still talking to other people, them, seeing that they were one way and then became a completely other person. That is really what narcissists tend to do. And I believe that narcissists are what are born from that avoidant attachment, anxiety, avoidant anxiety attachment is what narcissists are born from. It's a mouthful, but it's like that's what makes a person feel disturbed, because you're like, they keep you up in your head. Like you think you're in a relationship, but you're really not in a relationship. And this person's coming in and out of your life, taking your resources when they want to, but never really giving you much back because they're talking to multiple people, because one person isn't going to be enough, because they don't want to give that much to one person, but they would rather talk to multiple people. Illusion, and so, like I said, because this person becomes the chameleon in the beginning of the relationship, you're like, like that was a lie. And it's not a lie. The person had feelings for you. So because they don't have an identity, enough of an identity of their own, because of the way that they grew up, they became who they thought you wanted them to become, because there was love. They did have feelings. All that was true. However, it's almost like, if you give that type of person, like you treat them like the way that you want to be treated, or you're treating this person like you're married already, because they're coming into the relationship and they do that, they set it up like that. But then what happens is they realize that you really want that, and there's expectations that come with living that way. You can't just set it up and then not be around ever. Like you have to contribute to the relationship. This person creates the whole experience. Like they'll go out and they'll buy a house, or they'll move in with you. They'll do things to make you perceive that you're in a relationship with them. And then what happens is, it's like, then they just like kind of check out, and they check out because, again, that consistent relationship is boring. And it's boring because they're addicted to the adrenaline, and they're addicted to the adrenaline because they grew up being conditioned to live that way. So what happens is, now that they're not living that way because they're in a normal relationship, they create it by cheating, by their addictions, by, again, the way that they live. Part of creating the illusion, even with you, it's like they could feel the high highs of the excitement of what it could be and wanting, and then that's a high for them, but it's a fantasy. So it's, again, like it's almost like you think that this person is going to be something, and or do something, and what happens is that they're not. Instead, you're not with them. It's always like you're excluded. It's always like, and yes, because they have avoidance style. So the truth is if a relationship doesn't grow, I mean, outside of that passion realm, outside that bedroom, outside that spiritual connection, you know, it'll die. So here it is, like this person creates the entire experience to make you perceive that you're going to live that. Again, creates that illusion that that's what they want. And then you want to create memories. You want to like create a life with this person. And the thing is, it's like, then they're excluding you from everything. They're avoiding you. So you're still by yourself. So there's still a sense of, like, again, that's the mental and emotional abuse. It's like, if you love me, you'd be here. So you see a lot of craziness here. So let's see, what do they feel now? Let's see, what are they going to do now? I mean, a lot of times we're not going to see that much of anything. Or that's a lie. Sometimes this relationship is usually, what I'm getting is like, tends to go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. That avoidance, anxiety attachment isn't that person doesn't want you in their life. They want you in their life when they want you in their life is what I feel like, which is, it's just, you're probably not putting up with it. And when you're not putting up with it, that's when, um, they tend to be spiteful. So I want to just see, I don't want to use this deck. This is, I'm going to use this deck. And I'm only going to pull 3, and it might not even say what this person's going to do. It might just tell you a little bit about the connection. I'm trying to leave my comfort zone. So with this issue, so I kind of feel like this person like does have a spiritual connection to you. So, but they are comfortable in the way that they live. So I feel like, again, the universe brings people into our life to show us another way to live, to show us how things could be. And especially if we're in balance and this person's imbalanced and they do have a connection, but like I said, the way that they've been conditioned to survive and emotional survival, this person's psychological and emotional survival almost is dependent on them, like getting constantly fed. How does the shadow maintain the mask? How does it? It's like you have to continually feed it to make yourself really believe that that's who you are. That's why they're able to be a chameleon. You're like, was this person able to trick me? It's like because of that. So it's not comfortable for them. It's not natural for them. And you need to look at that that's not natural for them because it's not going to be like automatic. I feel you pulling away and it triggers my fears that you'll leave me for good. So this person actually feels that. And I feel like, well, that's how you felt the whole time. It's like that they were continually pulling away from you. And then when you would get annoyed, then they come back and it's this constant push pull. And I feel like you are tired of it. I'm tired of being excluded. I'm tired of not really being in a relationship with you. And I feel like this person, like, that there's a lot of mirroring energy here is what I'm getting at. This person is like trying to leave their comfort zone, but they're also like, they know that you're over it. Like, I'm over this bullshit of you want me, but you don't give me anything. You have feelings, but you don't like what the fuck for? I don't need it. It's like I'm realizing this connection is something special and worth treasuring. I feel like again, there's a spiritual connection. I'm not going to lie, which is why again, it's shown them a new way. But what I truly feel is this isn't going to be an automatic 1, 2, 3, I'm a different person. It's not. Their comfortable way is to get attention from a lot of people. Their comfortable way is to avoid. It's not automatically going to be different. They know that you're something special because they can't walk away from this connection. They don't understand why they're still feeling you when they don't feel anything normally, because that's what happens with the avoidant attachment anxiety. Like that's what it is. It's like the person doesn't feel normally. They don't have those emotional connections with just random people, and they have it with you. And they're like, I don't never like really experience this before. I don't really know what this is. If anything, it scares the shit out of them because again, they have avoidance style, which is because of the trauma that they experienced. And avoidant anxiety attachment, as I just said, is the worst out of all of them. They're all similar and they all can bleed into each other, except for the secure, like a person that's secure doesn't form codependent relationships because they're again creating themselves. They're whole in themselves, and a person that's whole in themselves doesn't feel the need to overgive or overdo to other people, doesn't give their energy away, and that's the thing. This person can tend to, I feel like if they're in a relationship where they would overgive sometimes and then give nothing other times, because again, that sometimes there really is that need and want to connect. but it's like you're not in charge of it. Today they can feel this way, and tomorrow they'll feel another way. Today they love you, need to spend a lot of time. Tomorrow they're not going to talk to you at all. I'm awakening. I know more than I'm letting on. So again, this person, like, I feel like pretended to not know how they acted, but I feel like this situation of meeting you has made them look at themselves and make some changes within their life because they see that it's not really healthy. Um, and they just feel like there is a spiritual connection between you and them. It's like even when we aren't together, they can still feel you. And that's not, again, this person has avoidance style. They don't get that. So that's what's impacting this relationship. And so they're the type that would be damned to tell anybody that because they would feel like a Fruit Loop. They would be like, because they're so grounded. This person grew up in survival. They're very logical, they're very analytical. They don't have connections like this. So they're like, I would sound like a crazy person but I'm connected to somebody in this way, you know. So I feel like they're trying to figure things out on their own. And I think the connection intrigues them, to be honest with you, because like I said, you're different. And you would be different if the universe orchestrated you and this person to come together because of whatever spiritual issues you have, which we're going to see. Neglect. I knew it. I'm telling you, you have anxiety, avoidant attachment issues because you didn't get the love and the support that you needed. So when you have that spiritual block of not being nurtured as a child, and even like the most important really is when we're becoming adolescents and we're learning and we're supposed to be able to go out on our own. If that's not supported, if that's not encouraged, if that's not, then what happens is we're always tend to look for it. We tend to look for that acceptance. We tend to want that emotional support that we didn't get. And so because we're looking for it, we wind up with a person that can't give it to us. And the reason why is because like goes to like and is seen as imbalanced, and unconditional love is what heals. So if we wind up with that person because there is a spiritual connection and we are not coming from a spiritual perspective, we're coming from a, physical perspective, which is what I perceive that you should do for me, being that you're my boyfriend, you're my girlfriend, and I'm not getting it, and you're making me feel like X, Y, Z, then that's going to keep us blocked. But if we look at the situation from a spiritual perspective that says that the universe brought this person that has avoidant anxiety attachment to me, where they have a problem with commitment, they have a problem feeling secure and safe in being vulnerable because of whatever happened. And again, if sexual abuse, it's some real hardcore trauma created that experience for that person. So it could be, again, if you're connected to someone that was beaten as a child, if you were someone that again was raised by somebody that was emotionally and psychologically abusive 24/7, over time, that's what creates that type of style. And it's an intimacy issue. So the person can like have like passionate and hot sex, like when they don't know the person, but the moment that they know the person and the person like it needs to be real, they can't show up. And they can't show up because, again, of that trauma, they're connected to somebody, again, that has that avoidance style. So just the anxiety attachment, we are needy. But to be, again, with somebody that's like that, and that only happens when we, again, have been neglected. Truth. I don't know if I pulled that out. I'm assuming I did, but so I'm feeling like never really being able to live your truth, really be your true self, and be able to be vulnerable too. So, and also knowing that you're being able to be true to yourself allows you to be comfortable in who you are, allows you to open up, form those connections. But if we, again, were neglected, then a lot of times we are also going to have to like mold to our environment. So it might not mean that you became a chameleon, but it meant that you had to be subservient to your environment in order to feel like somewhat nurtured. And understand, you like goes to like. So if your person was sexually abused, you did not grow up in an environment that was all rosy. The universe does not do it that way. The whole point with soulmates is that they both have this deep knowing and understanding and empathy for each other due to the experiences, because they relate to the experiences. It doesn't mean that they handle the experiences the same way. It doesn't mean that they, no, that's not what it means. What it means is that they form their behaviorisms and their survival mechanisms within their behaviorisms and their habits that are not going to be the same as yours. They're, if anything, they're going to trigger yours, which is what creates the awareness for you. That's how the universe works. It conspires, and we wouldn't do it unless there was love. So it's not that this person doesn't have feelings, but if they're not capable, it's you're still experiencing the same trauma over and over and over again. And nurturance, I feel like you've always had to be the one that gave to you. So that's actually a gift, because this is a childhood. Our childhood wounds are not just burying wounds. Sometimes we uncover our gifts, and being somebody that's very self-sufficient, knowing how to take care of yourself, knowing how to nurture yourself because you were neglected. And so living your truth for yourself, maybe having to be a chameleon in the environment, but not to yourself. And I feel like this person kind of put you in that type of environment again, which again triggered you to give to yourself again, and find your truth, because that's something that's intuitive, that's something that's an inner knowing. And a lot of times trauma will do that, will bring us to a place of finding our truth. Because again, otherwise we would just stay in a place that's frustrating. And when we have difficult relationships, it's frustrating. When we're always misunderstood or not getting what we need emotionally, relationships are not supposed to be frustrating. They're supposed to bring us joy. They're supposed to bring us happiness. Worst case scenario is this relationship brought you truth about what you needed for yourself, and you did it. And that was to nurture yourself. Because this person, like I said, like wants you, but doesn't really want to do what they would need to within the relationship. It's like they're comfortable. I'm not gonna lie. They say that there's a connection, and there is, but they have to learn how to be all over. This person has been conditioned, and they're not 5 years old. They're not 10 years old. That's however old that they've been on the planet is how long they've learned to navigate their relationships. So we can see that their relationships are not good, because no one wants to be in a one-sided relationship. And you would be attached to somebody that would continually make you feel neglected, which is the energy that you grew up in. It's the energy. So again, Spirit says, well, to really to when you nurtured yourself, you integrated the spiritual lesson, you found your truth. So it depends on what you choose to do with your life now, and that's not, it's karmic. So it's up to you whether you want to be with this person. But I feel like the majority of you guys, you don't want to give this person a chance when they come back into your life, because you know it's just the same. It's not that this person isn't going to come back, but it's that your life is going to be still a revolving door. And it's a revolving door because they don't know how to be any other way. And you don't want to be this person's mother or father in telling them all the time, because that puts you in a situation again, like where you're needing to tell this person isn't emotionally giving without you making them, like having to tell them. And over time, this is what's going to make this person resent the relationship, run away from the relationship, ignore the relationship, because they're going to feel smothered in the relationship, not because of you, but because of their anxiety avoidant attachment that they need to heal. That's the root of it. Otherwise, you're going to continue to keep living the same experience with this person. So it's not about whether they come back. We see that they have feelings. So eventually, yeah, they'll wind up coming back, but not really being different. And so we ask spirit, and it says attention. Again, what can we do? I always say to make ourselves feel better, to bring our energy up a little bit more. Being connected to someone like this is, like, again, the worst kind. I think I said that about 100 times during this reading. And it's because they don't allow you to form an attachment to them because they are avoidant. So every time you need them to show up, they're not there. That's what that means. And so what this is saying is, well, if you were giving your time to that over time, obviously it would make you feel empty. So what spirit is saying is, attention. I am attentive to all that manifests within me. When negativity rises within me, I transform it into light, love, and hope. My love for others is unconditional. I forgive. My desire to improve is constant. I am firm, brave, and hardworking. So it's about understanding that everything that this person came into your life to trigger you about your anxiety attachment problem to people that makes you a little bit needy because they didn't give you anything. It's again that they weren't capable. So them not capable kept you in that energy. And that's the same energy that I feel like you learned. I feel like you did learn that because you grew up in an environment like that. And this person put you back into that energy. And so again, it was mainly to transform that negative energy into light, and that you forgive this person, that your love for them is unconditional, that you need to learn about unconditional love. And if you grew up with someone that neglected you, then you have wounds. So it's about being able to let go and really forgive, because that's the biggest spiritual lesson that again, that it's all about. Every religion talks about that, and that it's about improving yourself, that this person came into your life to help you improve yourself, to restore you back into who the universe made you, who God made you, which was the energy of unconditional love. So it had to bring out that. And really, unconditional love is all about freedom. It's about not needing anyone except for yourself. That's what that Magician Tarot card represents, that you have all the tools that you need to manifest your life. And that when you create your life, you attract the right people into your life. People that tend to have these attachment styles, they lack identity, and they lack identity because, again, of their childhood wounds. Just because we move out of the home that we grew up in, unless we actually heal and integrate those wounds, we will continue to attract the same type of people into our life. So if you're someone that says, I always attract people that emotionally that can't give to me, then you're someone that has again, anxiety, attachment style, and it's because you didn't get. And so it's all about giving to yourself first. So I'm going to leave that there, Virgo. I hope you resonated, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye. And let me know if you liked the beginning of this reading, because I know it was a bit wacky, but Spirit just kind of took over. I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.